expert authority world, have you ever wanted to just cut through the chaos, get rid of all the crap in your life, and just go, hey, I want to focus and maybe it's read a book, maybe it's play with your kids, maybe it's go on a boat cruise, sailing, yachting, scuba diving, swimming, maybe I want to fly a plane, maybe I want to just do something other than business. Does it ever seem too hectic to you? I'll raise my hand first. There are many times I'm like, I don't care today. I just don't want to. And that's a great thing. We have the freedom as being the owner, the CEO, the whatever you want to label yourself as. We have that freedom to go, I ain't doing crap today. However, you better have a team in place to get stuff done. And that's why I'm so excited to have Ken Cladoris on today's show, because he's going to be teaching us how to get through the stillness, get away from the chaos, find the stillness amidst everything we still have to do to be successful and build wealth. I'm going to bring him up right after we thank our sponsor. You're already the expert, but have you transformed your expertise into a tangible asset that will generate and qualify leads while increasing profit for you 24/7? And if so, how well are you promoting it? With the Expert Authority Effect publishing method, it's easier and faster than ever. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com today. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Ken Cladoris. Ken, how are you feeling today?
Doing great, Mario. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to learn what you know, because you have seemingly cracked the code on how to not have this chaotic life but still succeed, build wealth, and I'd say have a little fun in the process.
It was a long struggle to get here, but yes, I did figure it out and actually had that conversation last night with a gentleman twice my age. That was like, it's so impressive to hear somebody your age, like understanding like what's actually going on. And so it always makes me feel good.
What led you to this point of going, I want to figure it out? I mean, kudos on figuring it out, but what even led you to wanting to figure it out?
Um, so I guess the big part of the story is like a lot of people, right, you have like early success, if you will, and then you reach a level where you kind of plateau. And my life was on repeat, and I was constantly kind of doing the same thing and just kind of fell into that cycle. And it wasn't until I was actually on vacation and just had this like wave of abundance and clarity and just kind of take over me. And I was left sitting there on the patio, really just going like, oh my God, I can accomplish so much more. Like I need to be better, do better. And I need to do that from a place and a feeling that I have right now. Right when I was sitting there, I was like, if I can feel like this all the time, there's nothing I can't do.
Live a life you don't need to take a vacation from, right?
Exactly.
So, for anyone that's listening, what would you say is your core business?
Well, core business, I was a wealth manager and I've slowly niched that down. And now we do 1031 exchange real estate for investors that don't want to manage real estate anymore.
Okay. And because I wanted you to say it, because I don't really associate real estate, wealth advising, financial stuff with calm.
Yeah.
Usually it's very nuanced, technical like this, but you have such a calm demeanor. Your website, your one sheet that I saw obviously before I said I want you on the show, and everything was just like it. They don't really typically fit together, and I love that because
Yeah.
you've been able to have that marriage of I have this relaxing life, but I still can help people with my core business. And talk to me about meditation. How important would you say that is in business, regardless of the field they're in?
Yeah. So meditation was kind of the start that led me to going down that path of personal development, if you will. And the amount of clarity that you get from just that 20-minute meditation is really what starts to make you realize that those thoughts you're constantly having and those things that are limiting you from doing whatever it is and all of that noise, you can actually start to tune it out. And as you start to see those effects, now you have more time for business or more time for your family, and everything just starts to get better. And then as it grows, like you just start to notice everything about your life has changed. And all you did was start by doing a 20-minute meditation.
What would you suggest to someone that's never done it before and is like, well, I don't know about all this foo-foo stuff?
So I hear that a lot from people that don't meditate. And then I usually say that, a lot of very successful actors and billionaires meditate all the time. So it's
That's
not
a good
foo-foo. It's
rebuttal.
just, yeah, one of the wealthiest people in the world meditates every day. So good for him. Um, but yeah, no. So everybody usually thinks I can't meditate. I'll have thoughts, all of those different things that keep them from doing it. And so just to start, I usually just tell people just to follow your breath and just kind of focus on that for a minute and try not to worry about if you have a thought or not and different things like that. Just follow your breath in and out, relax. And, as you build that habit, then you might want to learn how to get a mantra and do different types of meditations. But to start, start where you are, follow your breath.
That's good advice. And for the record, I'm not against it. I actually use those specific words because I've heard people say it when I've suggested, take a minute. One of the things I still tell my clients, but, if you're going to a book signing, if you're doing a speaking engagement, you're running around, you're doing whatever, maybe it's a client call. How often do people go from point A to point B and never really just enjoy what you just like? This is freaking awesome. I don't know about you, but I really truly love doing this. And there's times when it's like I see people and they're just like treating it like line item, line item, line item, line item. And I always reflect a little bit and just go, that was really cool. I got to talk to Ken. We had a great conversation, and just think about it, even if it's a minute or two. So the thing I was getting at is when you're out and about, build in 5 or 10 minutes. So if you have a hectic morning and you need to go to that lunch appointment or dinner appointment or whatever the case is, how many times do we get there and just rush out of the vehicle? And I'm
Yep.
not saying automobile this week because the last 2 weeks I've made jokes, and I think the uh, Det- only people in the country that say automobile is from Detroit. But when you leave your vehicle, you park, you rush there, you park, and you run out. Why
Yep.
not take 60 seconds and just, I'm going to enjoy this. It's going to go well. This is an opportunity, whatever the case is. So
Yeah.
I get it. I actually really love it. And it's one of the reasons I was like, he'd be great to have on because not a lot of people are talking about this. How, and I've done some training myself in years past. How would you break down meditation versus centering?
Well, I guess I would want a clearer definition of what centering means to you. Um, but a lot of people have just different ideas. But again, it's more of you use meditation as a way to allow your mind to relax in itself and then go into that space in between thoughts. And as you spend more time between the thoughts, you realize that you have a lot of thoughts during the day and right that it's all just noise. And then you're kind of judging everything. And then so from there, it becomes more and more of that stillness and that silence and that gap that comes into the rest of your day and your activity.
Do you suggest in the morning, the afternoon, at night, all the above? Is there like a I'm going to equate it to the technical side when people say about what's the best time to live stream or what's the best day and time to send an email. Like, what's the best time to meditate?
Yeah. Um, so I'm a certified instructor. And when you go through training, they say that you should meditate first thing in the morning and then once again in like early afternoon. And the thought process behind that is you obviously want to start your day after you've meditated, right? And go into your activity. And then in the middle of the day, basically go back to your meditation, refresh, re-energize, and then have the rest of your afternoon to, blend in that activity with the stillness that you've created.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a hot second. Now,
Cool.
I get the one in the middle of the day because you need to relax from the day, but the morning one, you haven't really done anything hectic yet. So, is it you're saying more of a prepping, not just a because I hear different things from meditation, and some people it's I'm using this as to set the slate clean so I can go about and set the intentions, correct?
People say that, yes.
Okay. And then the other one is you use it for I'm clearing out the negative energies and like in the middle of the day at lunch or at dinner or whatever, it's like stuff happened. Now we need to reset and get calm again. So the devil's advocate was somewhat of a joke, but if you, I wanted to be clear for people because they might, I've heard it. They'll say, well, you didn't do anything to start the day. What do you need to get calm from? Well, did you set the intention for the day? So you're suggesting
Yeah.
twice a day.
Correct. Especially when you're starting, you want to do twice a day. But then to answer your real question, so the brain activity in meditation is actually different than deep sleep and regular sleep, right? So you're going to a fourth layer in your mental activity, which you don't get while you're sleeping. So that's why you start your day that way.
Oh, that's a great answer. Like a
So,
really great one. Why do you think it doesn't happen in sleep?
um, so I'm not a scientist. I'm just a practitioner.
That's
But it's a
fine, but
deeper.
I,
It's
I
a
mean, I mean,
the wavelengths are just deeper. So it's deeper than deep sleep.
it's reminded me a lot of vitamins because it's like, oh, you need to take your vitamins. It's like, why? Well, your body doesn't produce all the amino acids. I'm not a nutritionist, but I'm
Yeah.
willing to play one on TV or the movies. But I've heard that for years, and I'm taking it the same way. It's like, well, if your body doesn't do it here, well, when are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Have you
So
ever suggested 3 times a day to someone?
no.
Okay.
Basically, what I tell people is you're trying to create a muscle memory, if you will, right? So you want to like create that habit of waking up in the morning, meditate, always meditate for the same amount of time. Don't cut it early. Don't go long. Just do your 20 minutes and move on. Same thing in the afternoon, right? Like if you go to lunch, then you come back and you're like, I'm going to meditate now. Just do that every time. Meditate for 20 minutes. Don't rush it. Don't try to do anything different. Just create that habit and that muscle memory. So that way, when your body kind of knows and is prepping before you even start to meditate, okay, I'm going to go meditate. Like I'm going to be able to calm down, going to do this. And it just creates that, again, habit of doing it.
So it's not so much the time you're doing it, like specifically at 10:15 every morning or 11:30. It's the repetition of doing it twice a day, whatever works best for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want
Well,
people judging themselves, being like, oh my God, I'm 15 minutes late on my meditation. It's going to be ruined, right? It's like, just do your meditation when you have time. Like, it'll be okay.
it's all
Just make sure
about
you get
that.
it in.
I
Yeah.
like your program better than other ones I've heard already. I've heard people say like, you want to start at least once a day, but then you can get to two, three, four, 5 times a day, and then others are like, do it whenever you need it.
Yeah. Again, so I've been meditating now for 6 years, and this is what works for me so that I can have super productive meetings, get a lot of work done, and enjoy life. But I will add, so for those people that say 6 times a day, that's a little crazy. I don't know when you work. But I do prolonged silence once a year where I spend 5 days in silence every year. So that's kind of like my bigger refresh. And then I use the daily ones as, maintenance.
Okay, very good. So let's talk about that work. How do you help people with your business, and how has the meditation helped you? You said one of the things, be more productive, but tell people about your business and how this is bridge that gap for us.
Yeah. Well, so it's a very long gap, and most people get very confused by it.
It's okay, we
So
got time.
yeah, so always again done the wealth management and niche down to the 1031 exchange real estate. But in my conversations with clients, referral sources, and different people, everybody's like, "What are you doing that's different? Like you seem different. You seem more relaxed. Like what are you doing?" And so I was having conversations with everybody about like meditate, do the silence, and usually people think it's a little woo woo, kind of crazy. Um, but then they see how much work I'm getting done and how much I'm being able to accomplish, and they're like, "Okay, can you teach me?" And that's when I decided to create a course called Stillness to Success, which actually lays out everything I do on a daily basis so that people can learn how to meditate and then create kind of the guidelines and the steps necessary for them to have the success they want. Because what I found on the wealth management side is if I tell you what success looks like, you might not agree. No two clients have the same definition of wealth, right? Everybody's different. So having somebody define what success means to them, why they want it, make sure it's in alignment with their values, but and asking all of those questions after you've anchored them in stillness. So that way they can actually hear the answers instead of the noise.
You said a key word. Explain to the listeners what anchoring is.
Oh, well, when I say anchored in silence, I don't know if it means the same thing, but it's really just having the ability to not get your thoughts and so much noise coming in at you from every angle where you get thrown off track, right? You're very still, you're centered, you're anchored, you feel good. And when I ask you a question like, what is your personal vision statement? Instead of like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, I'm getting all crazy. You're like, oh, I have this thought, this is what it is. And you can hear it.
So what
So
I'm hearing on your descriptions of everything, it sounds to me like all of this, for anyone listening that's like, I don't know, it's helping your brain rearrange so you can process the information more effectively. Comparable to defragging a computer hard drive so you can access the information and it's not a, let's say, mess when you're trying to.
yes, correct. So I would say it's a combination of that. And then again, allowing yourself to hear the thoughts that are deeper than the noise. That's the first thing that, kind of is like in your face loud, right? So there's always those thoughts that are really loud. And then below that, it's kind of like the truer meaning of what you want. You just usually can't hear it because of all the noise. So we want you to be at that next level so that you're actually making decisions that are in alignment with what you truly want, not what Instagram ads or a podcast told you want, right? It's like, okay, what is it actually truly for you?
Unless it's this one, because you're telling them the truth right now.
Yes. But I can't give them the answer.
True,
What's
true.
up? Yeah.
So this is I don't want to say a flip, but a caveat. And I really want to bring out the best. And again, I'm very visual, so I'm picturing this. It's like someone's mind, and then you have all the noise. And I was thinking of Instagram, social media stuff you see on TV, all kinds of whatever. And it's just, and in marketing, one of the rules is like be louder than the next person. That's part of it. You have to have the frequency. If you have the best product, the best service, the best whatever, but you only advertise once a year, even if you have everything dialed in, the frequency is going to outwin at some point. However, since most people do the spray and pray method, they think just because I'm out there a lot, that's the secret. And that's not completely the secret either with marketing. You have to have the message refined.
Yeah.
So you're constantly being bombarded with these thoughts and, messages and all that stuff. If you've never done this before, it's going to be real hard to even figure out what you want to say. But I see the meditation as an internal process so you can speak up more and you are more productive and everything flows better. How would you suggest someone does get those internal thoughts louder than the outside noise? Because when you're being still and quiet, well, you're not making the noise to talk to yourself. And how do you get it louder so that way when you're not meditating, it's still not overwhelming you?
Yeah. So
The
it's a great
outside
analogy.
influences.
Yeah. Well, it's a great analogy, but what I would say is it's not getting louder. Everything else is getting quieter.
Oh, I like
Um,
this.
yeah. So you become, again, kind of anchored in that stillness. So when those outside noises or whatever it is come in, they come in and leave just as quickly. So you're not holding on to them and spinning on that thought. It just leaves. And now you're like, okay, this is still what I want. Like I have this thought, and that thought that you have, the quieter thought, is the only one there. Everything else just kind of goes through. If that makes sense.
You know your stuff. I like this. That is a really great answer. So it's not that you have to get louder, it's everything else becomes quieter.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your training in the program and who has been your biggest success story with that?
Well, so I hate to say me, um, but for
Say
for
whatever
me
you want
personally,
to.
like, well, but there's other people, but like I'm just a living example of this, right? Like I do this every day, and I can tell you that going from where I was just a few years ago to today is like completely different in the respect of like, again, I work less, I make more money, have a bigger impact, get to have better conversations with people. Last night I was talking to I had the gentleman tell me how great it was to have somebody like at this level and like the stillness and just understanding life. And at that same event, I was talking to a family that had just donated $100,000 to a charity event. And I was just like, you guys are incredible. Like, I want to get to that level. And, I donated quite a bit of money, but nothing to that extent. And it was funny because I was reflecting on just 2 years ago, I couldn't have imagined donating that much money. And now I'm giving it. And then I'm talking to like the title sponsor that's like, oh, you're going to get there. Don't worry about it. Like you have plenty of time. And just the conversations change too. And like everything is so much better, so much more meaningful. And it's so much more clear.
Would you say you've noticed? You said the conversations get more meaningful, but would you say the caliber of people has also changed?
Yes. Right. You definitely, you start to realize who's holding you down, who's not speaking positively into your life, who's not supporting you. And those people kind of go away. And as space opens up in your life, new people come in that do support you. And you just kind of evolve and grow.
That's good too, because
Yeah.
there was this. I can't say all the words I saw in the meme, but it said it's amazing how much your life improves when you stop hanging around holes,
Yep.
and it's true. I mean,
Right.
you start doing, and also it kind of spurred. That wasn't on my notes or anything, but when you were talking about that, I'm like, I pictured that, and when you're at philanthropic events, you're generally not around greedy people.
Correct.
And that has nothing to do with a denomination of money, because I know people that have $3 and they're still like trying to be takers. And there's obviously people with lots of money who, that's what they're known for, is just taking everything. So it has nothing to do with the amount of money, because you can be greedy or philanthropic at any level. There's the analogy of, I donated $20 to something and the other guy donated 100, but, he had 10 million and I had $20.
Yeah.
So I'm not suggesting being poor to anyone, but the point is, when you do get to a certain level, be sure to give back, because what else is the point? You're going to be Scrooge McDuck and swim in your gold coins? Like, I don't
Right.
think that's possible, but
Well, so that was one of the conversations we were having yesterday too, is that usually people that have had some type of help or outreach or were the benefactor of some type of gift, right, are more likely to try to give back because they know firsthand how beneficial and meaningful it is to the person that is being given to.
when did you was all of this the same time frame of the epiphany, or were you giving before and now you're doing more, or was it I'm just changing everything in one fell swoop?
Um, it's more of the latter. Everything kind of just changed. So before that, I mean, I was, you give back a little bit, but like nothing to like this level. It wasn't something that I was like very
Much
passionate
less
about.
intentional.
Yes, it's a good way of putting it. Less intentional.
Okay.
Um, so had the epiphany, did all the self work, and then it was like, okay, this is what I want to do, and it's been part of like my whole life now, right? Whether it's the ocean or just nature, kids, make a wish, right? I'm all about just trying to give back and find ways and opportunities to help more people live a more meaningful life.
I love that. And I was checking out your site and I saw you had the sailboat on it, and I'm like, awesome. I grew up on the water, live on the water, love the water, swimming, boating,
Yeah.
wave runners. It's so relaxing and peaceful. So I can definitely relate to that. But
Yeah.
let's kick it back a notch and say, take me on a day, typical day from Ken 1.0.
Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like my days before were most people's day, right? Well, maybe a little later though. I'd probably get the office, 8, 9 o'clock, work until 4 or 5, and then some type of social event, have dinner, and then kind of start it all over again. That was the day, every day. So You fast forward to today.
Ken
uh
2.0.
yes, CAD 2.0. See, that's tough. Every day's a little different now. It depends on what I'm doing, but it's much different. I mean, I wake up, usually have some type of so I do my morning routine, which I guess I should start with that. So no matter what, that occurs. Set my intention for the day, get the
Meditate the
most,
first time, 20 minutes.
yep. One, that I have like a journaling routine that I do, and I visualize my day,
Mm.
feel it out. So it's a great way to kind of start the day. And then from there, I jump into the most important thing of the day. So when I was writing my book, I would start writing immediately. When I was creating the course, that was the first thing I would do. And really, it was just a habit of mine to get the most important thing done before all the outside, I'm not going to call it noise, but obligations, client calls, and like family thing, like all of that stuff came in. And then you're like, oh, I didn't get to that today. If I got it done first thing in the morning, I knew it was done. And that way I was always making progress towards my goals. And so I still do that to this day. And then, right, get the busy work done, make phone calls, and yeah, go from there.
That's a great way to do it, and I support that 100% because I know when I was writing my book, doing the audio book, helping people with theirs, doing a million one things, it's like if you get nothing done today, what's the one thing that's going to still move the needle?
Yeah.
Because you can wake up absolutely and go, okay, I got 500 million things to do. Do them all well, do them all very well. And none of them really supported your advancement. It's just they were there.
Right.
And I always bring up the scenario of, I don't even know if this was a grade school thing, a school thing, a college thing, or a picture, but the jar of the rocks.
Yeah.
You can fill it with
Yeah.
pebbles and sand, and then you go, oh, I have no room for this big rock. But you put the big
Yeah.
rocks in, and everything else just kind of finds its way.
Right.
And I support that 100%. I've been doing that for about a decade myself of like, I don't have time for this. I need to get, if nothing else happens, I need to get these two things done or three. And then, yeah, the next 6 hours, it's like, sure enough, whatever. But
Yeah.
another reason I have advised people to have a team of people who can specialize in the things, not so much that you're not good at, but you just might not have the time for. And the other flip side is they probably are better, and they should be. Otherwise, you know,
Yeah.
you might be leveraging your time, but, you know, there's people who love to do what they do. They just might not want the business side of it. And I've been
Yeah.
hiring my friends since I was in college. Not
Right.
exclusively my friends, but the first people I hired were my friends sitting next to me, and they were like, "How do you have clients?" I'm like, "How do you not? You're 10 times better than me at this." And I would like buy them lunch and just bring them stuff and give them cash and whatever. And I was like, "Hey, do you want to do this like a lot more outside of school too?" They're like, "I'd love to." I'm like, "Sweet." So some of my first team members were uh, friends of mine that
Mm.
they were better than me. So what's your take on building out a team of people? Does it depend on the business, or should you always outsource something, even if it's grocery deliveries, cleaning the house? I mean, whether it's business stuff or not.
Yeah. So I guess similar to the rock analogy, I was at a training maybe 3 years ago, maybe four. And the speaker was like, everybody's heard the 80-20 rule, right? Like do your 20%. And he's like, I want to take it one step farther. Of your 20% of the 80-20, what's the 20% in that 20
Mm-hmm.
that really is the needle mover? He's like, that's what you should do, right? If that's your sweet spot, like do that and outsource everything else. So that way you are making the biggest impact with the amount of time you're spending on something all the time. And for me, up to that point, I always thought I could do everything. I should do it all myself. And then I heard that and I was like, ooh, light bulb. It's draining my time every day to do all of these things. If I outsource or have a staff do a few things, that frees me up to really focus on my top 20-20. And that's what's going to make the difference. So 100% agree with you. You need to have that team around you to help. And especially if you can find people that have strengths in areas that aren't your strengths, so they can complement you and you can get just that much more results quickly. It's very beneficial.
Yeah, and the care and attention. I mean, even earlier, I was talking to my graphic designer about the book cover, and he added some elements and different things. I'm like, that looks freaking phenomenal. But every time I would look at it, it's like, I got to prepare for this. I have, the business side of 58
Yeah.
things to do, and it's like, well, this one I'm hosting a show, this one I'm on the thing, this one I'm guesting on the thing, and it's like it looks good enough. I'm done. I'm at the 80%, but nothing ever got past 80, 85%. But you put someone else in, you get their lens on it, like, I have with publishing and you do with meditation. It's like, we take one glance at it, 30 seconds later, it's like we're adding that little special effect that no one else is catching. So I'm all about synergy and help, everyone helping everyone, and you should be compensated for. I'm not talking certain things, full capitalism here, but there's
Yeah.
no reason you can't partner and have synergies and throw business each way, joint ventures, whatever you want to call it, because the
Yeah.
reality is there's no way you're going to be covering everything.
Yeah. Well, and graphic design is one of those things where I know that's not my strong suit. So that's definitely something I outsource every time. Because when I look at things, I'm like, still finance guy, right? I'm like, I want it to be symmetrical, like everything's got to be this. And I'm like, that's not creative. So
And I'll add a caveat on that, because you know what it's like to go through a publishing process. So not only the
yeah.
most important things for your day, but when you need to turn on that creative mindset, would you recommend trying to write a book in between two interviews, even if it's half a chapter?
No.
Why not?
Well, you're just not. I guess for me personally, I can't answer for somebody else because I don't know how other people's brains work. I wouldn't be creative, and I would just sit there looking at the paper, and I'd be concerned about what I did wrong in one interview and what I'm going to say in the next one.
Or the wall.
Yes.
It's still too much on your mind. You have to,
Yeah.
clear the mechanism.
Yep.
Now, I will say I did my free business book publishing course. I did film in between some interviews one day because I was in the studio filming, and I was like, you know what? I have a block of time right here. I think I can crank this whole thing out in under an hour, and it was, a setup like this. There was a lot of planning and everything that went into it. I wasn't planning it in creative. It was just execution, repeat it, and do it on
Mm-hmm.
camera. I think it took like 45 or 50 minutes. I was like, wow, I have time for a drink. I came back, swapped my tie, and then did another interview. I was like, that was awesome. Because there's
Right, but it
other
was.
times where
I
you
would.
can stare at the wall for a week going, huh, I should probably film this, huh?
Yeah, but I would say you're doing the same thing because you were in basically what I would call like your mode when you're presenting both times, right? So you weren't really changing the dynamic.
Right.
You were just doing something complementary to what you were already doing.
Yeah, what is it called? Context shifting?
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to draw while I was trying to film, while I was trying to read and write and drive.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that too. So, like I said, there was a fair amount of planning that went into it, but
Yeah.
when it comes down to it, I like to just wake up and be able to execute, like, okay, here's what needs to be done, let's just do it. And then when you're not under the gun, hey, what's this? Oh, that'd be a nice little round out the edge of the sentence.
Right. Well, then sometimes, right, if you do that first thing in the morning, you're going through your day and all of a sudden, like that thought will come in, kind of quiet one, right? And be like, ooh, we should change that. And if you can catch it, you're like, everything kind of works out better that way because your mind has time to solve the problem
Yep.
without you consciously thinking about it.
Showers and food.
Yes.
You walk away, wherever you're going, in about 2.5 minutes later. I can't tell you how many good ideas came from a turkey sandwich. Holy smokes.
Right. Go running back. You get it down real quick before you forget. Yep. I get it.
Still hungry, but got the idea. You can always eat tomorrow, right?
Exactly.
So I want to ask you about your downtime, because we're talking about freeing up all this downtime, being more productive in the office. What do you like to do with yours?
So I learned to sail after post epiphany. So that's a lot of fun. Spend a lot of time on the water, have a powerboat too. Do a lot of giving back, philanthropy, social events, I'm always busy, but it's doing things that are more less work, more impactful.
I like that
So
because one of the things I had this transition a few years ago too, and it was like, okay, when I get in my mind, it was when I get to this point. I'm sure you never went through that, right? When I get to this point, whatever it is, I'm going to be doing this. And I made this whole list. Like, man, it's going to be so awesome. And again, I probably left and made a sandwich, and my brain was like, hey, idiot. Cooking is one of them. You can do that now. Play
right,
music more. I play alto sax, swimming, boating, singing, dancing, music, reading. It's like there is really like short of maybe taking a jet plane fighter and flying it around, um, working on it. But
there's a place in right over, about a mile from my house. You can do that.
yeah, I mean that, and I know those things exist, but it's like short of doing anything like completely off the wall nutso
Yeah.
and fun. I think 4 out of the 5 in it was actually flying the B-2 stealth. You know, the highly classified one that
Hmm.
only 300 people ever in 30 years were in.
That was on your list.
It still is. It's going to be fun.
Ooh,
Um,
I like it.
but outside of that, it was just reading more, swimming more, cooking, music. I'm like, I have all this like right here, right now. But you know what I mean? It's like, well, I can't
Yeah,
do anything but until at that level. And now it's like you're that smart yet stupid.
right. And then I don't know if you reached a certain level, but then you realize not much has changed, and you're still looking for more, and now it's just a little different. So
Yeah, so I like that perspective, and thank you for sharing that because it's like, okay, I'm gonna, calm down. I'm gonna have more time. I'll be more productive, and that will lead to this, which will lead to that. But I think most of this stuff, again, it's why I love talking about this, is all in our heads.
yeah,
And it's like you can do it. When we were kids, did we ever go, well, you know what? I have to do bump, a bump, a bump, bump, bump before I can have that ice cream. No,
yeah,
we're like, I'm going to snatch that ice cream up faster than you can think about, and maybe that will get done. Not saying
right.
that's super productive, but, life was more enjoyable, huh?
Yeah, we knew how to have more fun then.
So, for someone struggling with it, do you have any methodologies or activities to say, hey, think about what you'd want to do, or any systematizing or just jot a list down of what do you really want to be doing?
Yeah. So I mean, I would say to start, just try to create more stillness in your life. Again, whether that's following your breath or being acutely present when you do something, whether it's going for a walk, even dishes, like if you're super present and just focusing on what you're doing, your mind stops thinking so much about everything else, and you start to experience those same type of benefits of meditation while you're doing activity. So that's a great way to start. And then, yeah, just start to think about, what it is that brings you joy or happiness in your life on it, just on, like during the day. Nothing just, crazy, just like, oh, I really enjoyed doing that today, and being present about it. And then acknowledging that you enjoyed that activity and just jotting it down and saying, okay, now I have my list of things. How can I have more cooking and swimming in my life? Like, what can I do to do these things that are important to me? And then start to incorporate them more into your life.
Sailing.
Say, yeah.
I
So,
appreciate you for sharing that so much. I have a fun little thing right here. It's called the Wheel of Whatever. Would you like yellow or black?
yellow.
Awesome. Stop it right there, yellow. Let's talk about travel. Where is somewhere you would like to go but haven't been yet?
Well, so I just booked a trip. So we'll talk about that one. So I'm going to Emangiri in 4 months, which is a hotel in Utah,
Okay.
and I'm super excited about it.
How
If the
long you
listeners,
staying?
I'll say, well, if the listeners aren't familiar with the Amon brand, like it's a very meditative type hotel. Everything's about being connected and centered and stillness. And this one again is in the middle of the desert. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be there for 3 days.
Okay.
So
How
it's going to be
long's
a blast.
that been on your list?
I first heard of that hotel 3 years ago, um, and then decided, yeah, I'm gonna go. So I booked it. Obviously, with COVID and things, that didn't. It took a little bit, but now I'm going in a few months.
Well, I'm
So
glad you can enjoy it now. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah,
Sounds like a good one.
I would recommend you should just look up the hotel. It's incredible.
We are going to thank our sponsor and come back for the Imperfect Action Round. You're already the expert, but have you transformed your expertise into a tangible asset that will generate and qualify leads while increasing profit for you 24/7? And if so, how well are you promoting it? With the Expert Authority Effect publishing method, it's easier and faster than ever. Visit free business book publishing course. And we are back with the Imperfect Action Round. Ken, are you ready to take imperfect action?
I'm ready.
Got 3 questions, 60-second or less answers. The first one is, what is the fastest path to the cash?
Just start moving.
Okay.
I
Number
mean that.
2, what is
Yeah.
the biggest problem your prospects make and the fastest way for them to fix it?
Overthink it. Everybody thinks that they can't do something, and want analysis paralysis. You just gotta just get past that.
Very good. Number 3, what is the best way to maximize customer lifetime value?
Continue to, well, first be of great service, and then continue to have offerings so that your clients can continue to grow with you, and you can take them from every step and stage and grow with them as well.
Very good. What books have made a big impact in your life or business?
So there's a lot. um
Pick the let's limit it to the first 2 dozen.
2 dozen. Nice. Autobiography of Yogi, Power of Now, Compound Effect,
Mm,
and the one I'm going to throw out there because it's kind of interesting. So Grant Cardone's 10x.
okay. Very good.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of the yogi books, right? It's everything else I do. It's kind of just the balance of the opposites.
But that's the thing, and it's I find it so unique what you're doing, and really appreciate you for sharing. But people, it seems like they're either in one camp or another with stuff, and it's like, why not take the best of all of it? Because you can be hard charging, and we've been saying this the whole episode, but it's like, when do you ever rest?
Yeah.
I was watching uh I hate to even say it, but I was watching a church service, and the the guest speaker, guest pastor, Jason Williams. No, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I never do this. No,
Wait,
what did I
see,
say?
this is imperfect.
Williams?
This is imperfect action. It's what we do.
Yes. Did I say Jason Williams?
I think so.
It's Jason Wilson.
Okay.
Great author. His books are Battle Cry and Cry Like a Man, and he was talking, and he was at my church. He's actually from Detroit, and he's been on Joe Rogan's podcast, spoke all around the world, all kinds of great stuff. Awesome, awesome speaker. I met him a couple years ago when he was also back, but he was sharing, and he goes, he teaches martial arts and different things, and to the point of, hard charging and calm, he goes, lions sleep 16, 18 hours a day. Who wants to be in attack mode 24/7? When do you ever rest? I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is about for men to be more vulnerable, because I think society is like you can't cry, you can't do this, you can't, this is your role. And it's like everyone hangs on to that stress and never lets go their whole life. And, Cry Like a Man is like, what a great title.
Mm-hmm.
Were you ever told that growing up, it's okay to have feelings and actually care about people?
No.
I felt like a freaking weirdo for having a heart. until later on when I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't, it wasn't wrong to begin with, and it's still not wrong, but it's
Yeah,
just like, unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger or someone, it's like, you're not a man. It's like, well, there's a few varying degrees in between, and yes, you are. But
yeah,
I love that you're talking on both sides, and yes, they're opposite, but, take the best of both, because if all you're doing is sitting in a corner staring at a plant versus or hard charging and attacking all the time, I don't think either is super healthy or safe for
I'd
anyone.
agree. Yeah. And you just, I mean, you're always either camp, I feel like, is always stressed, right? Am I staring at the wall right or wrong? And what's my next deal I got to do, right? Like, they just got to be present. Like, you got to balance both of them, be present, realize that things are going to flow, and, pick your battles. There's time to attack and there's time to relax. So,
And I was in no way trying to put down like being still or anything. I just realized I'm
yeah.
like sit in the corner, stare at a plant. I'm like, okay, that was a little biased, but
Well, but there are people that do that all day long.
yes,
And I'm like, what do you do? Like, how do you make money? How do you live? Like, I have a plant right here, plant there. Like, if I just stared at them all day,
you
like
do.
nothing would get done.
I see it on the one screen, but it's mostly truncated on the. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, awesome. So thank you for that, because I was like, I have followed him for years. I'm like, how did I just mess up the name? But if there's one section of the show to do, it's the imperfect action section. But thank you for everything you've been sharing. This has been awesome. Where would you like people to learn more?
Yeah, they can go to kenclidoris.com. And then there's a free resource at stillnesstosuccess.com, which will go over kind of the benefits of meditation and help everybody on their journey. So that's the best way to start.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ken.
Thank you, Mario. Had a great conversation.
All right, Expert Authority World. We have another great episode here today. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.